Okay, let's get started. All right. This is Chapter 11. I'm going to give you some information. We'll start with problems on Wednesday, and I'll go into Chapter 12. Now, we are dealing with another model, and let me refer to your book. And this is Chapter 11. All right, so just as we talked about the basic GDP equation, okay, I should be able to insert a slide. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'll bring it back. I will. I promise you I will. We're talking about Aggregate Expenditures Model. So what I'm doing with Aggregate Expenditures, we know this equation. As I said, you got to know it frontwards, backwards, sideways, whatever. What we're going to be doing, and you will see the tables in Chapter 11 and in 12, they go from like 7 columns to maybe about 12. What we're going to be doing is we're going to start with consumption. We're going to then add gross private domestic investment. Then we'll add government expenditures and then net exports. Actually, your book kind of changes these around, but that's okay. We are going to be working with these variables. These variables added together is what we look at in really commenting on our aggregate expenditures. As I said before, this is why I use the expenditures approach in calculating the GDP. All right? So, first of all, and I'll go back to this slide, first of all, they're just looking at our GDP, which we've had in our equations and problems in the last exam, equaling our DI, all right? That's our income. Now, we're then going to compare it to what our income is going to be in comparison to how much we consume plus how much we invest, all right? That's where I am. So I'm going to start with C, and then I'm going to add IG. I'll add net exports, and then I'll add government purchases. So if you look in your book, I'll take you to where we're going. Turn to page 244. You will see that that model starts with just income and consumption, basic C, correct? On page 244. Then it adds C plus IG. Does everybody see that? Now, let's just move a little bit, just to give you an overview where we're going from there. If you then turn over to page 248, it takes that same model. Not only is it consumption plus gross private domestic investment, now it's added net exports. Then if you keep turning over to page 251, it goes from C to C plus investment to C plus net exports to C plus net exports plus gross private domestic investment plus government purchases, all added together to equal aggregate expenditures. Okay? All right, so that's where I'm going with this. So I'll go back to the, let me clear this, so that you can get this in your notes. But this is where we're starting. This is where we're starting. Yes?
Black line, is that just like, is like the black line in the grass, is that just like the basic line, or is that like...
That's the schedule of spending in comparison to our income as we add on every variable.
Alright, so that's almost going to be at 45 degrees?
Yeah, our income is at 45 degrees.
Okay.
Yes.
No matter what?
No matter what. The income is. All right, now, what we're talking about here in regards to a closed economy, we're looking at GDP when it's equal, we're looking at our disposable income, and we're going to compare that income when it is a closed economy. We're only going to use consumption plus gross private domestic investment. That is considered a closed economy. We are not including at that point international trade. Closed economies only have consumption and investment. We're not looking at international trade yet. So that's the point of that slide there. All right. What is consumption? And you just had it on your exam, so you better know this answer.
Durable, non-durable services.
Right. So we have durable goods, non-durable goods, and services. That's the big C. Now we're adding gross private domestic investment. But we need to take a look at investment in our economy overall. So how does this happen? When is the best time for this to happen? So turn in your book to page 241. Page 241. I want to talk about investment in our economy. Investment in our economy. How many of you have more than one credit card? Just be truthful. Okay. How many of you know the different interest rates on those credit cards? All right. Now this is how I explain investment. And let me just kind of, are we okay here? Can I move now to here? Okay. So let me talk about investment as it relates to overall aggregate investment into our economy. So when we look at investment, I kind of liken it to interest rates that we pay for credit cards. If you have a choice between two credit cards, you're going to use the credit card that has the lowest interest rate, correct? Because what is interest? Is the fee that we are charged for the use of money, for the use of credit. Our economy runs on a little bit of cash and a lot of credit. That's one thing you got to understand about the United States. A little bit of cash and a lot of credit. That is why when we look at interest rates, what's happening in our economy, spending-wise of companies and investments, it's interest rates that are the key. So if I were to look at this investment demand curve, let's just take a look, and this is just IG. That's all I'm referring to here. I'm looking at how much is invested as it relates to what we consider the real interest rate, okay, and interest rate overall. As I said, the reason why I asked you if you have more than one credit card, you're going to look at the credit card that has the lower interest rate because you don't want to pay as much. So that interest rate, but we also are looking at what we consider our return on our investment. So when it comes to, and you got, when I'm looking at IG, I'm looking at gross private domestic investment. So how much return on their investment, that's what the R stands for, and how much interest am I paying on that money? If Monroe County, in days gone by, used to have very low interest rates for property, correct? Then things have changed because of changing in housing. Interest rates in Monroe County have dramatically increased. So when you look at your return on investment here, it has changed over the years. So as my I look at my return on my investment and my interest rate, I have a investment demand schedule that is inversely related to that interest rate and the return on investment and how much I'm willing to invest. So as that interest rate decreases, guess what? I'm willing to invest more, correct? Just like the demand schedule, simple demand, where prices go down, the quantity demanded increases. Well, when we look at investment, when interest rate drops, we're willing to invest more, and so therefore investment dollars increase. So it's moving in the same direction, it's a different model, but the same direction as simple demand, Now in this model here, as relates to the real domestic product or real GDP, again, we're looking at investment dollars and we're looking at how much is going to be invested. That's overall with the economy, okay? How much at different levels of interest rates and different levels of investment, how overall. This model is okay, but this is the one I want you to concentrate on because it will make you see the importance of interest rates. Why do we hear about interest rates all the time? Because when interest rates are high and I'm not going to get that return on my investment, I'm not going to invest as much from the private sector. Does everybody see that? Okay. All right. Now, my time is just about up. I did not get to the problems. What I'm going to do on Wednesday, we're going to start, I'll finish presenting my information, and if you want to go ahead and start some with your study group, these are the problems in the back of Chapter 11 I recommend you to work on. Numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. All right? So we will be working through the tables that you have in your book, and there are quite a few. All right?